Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into one of the shortest but maybe one of the most profound chapters in the entire Quran, Surah 112, also known as Al-Ikhlas. Now you've probably heard it before, right? But have you ever stopped to think about what it's really saying? Not just as a prayer, but as a statement about the fundamental nature of reality itself.
Yeah, most people hear or recite these words and think, okay, simple declaration of monotheism. God is one. And that's true, but it's only scratching the surface.
What if this is way more than that? What if this isn't just a creed you're supposed to believe in, but a precise, almost philosophical definition of the very fabric of existence?
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to have to do something a little different. Think of us as code breakers. We're going to set aside a lot of the traditional commentary for a moment and just let the text speak for itself. We'll let it define its own terms, word by word.
You see, the inherited view often treats this surah as a kind of ritual formula, something powerful you recite. And it is. But when you zoom in on the specific words being used, something much, much deeper starts to unfold.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to decode the 4 core statements that make up this incredibly dense chapter.
Okay, so right off the bat, the first verse makes this really crucial distinction. The text uses the word ahad, not wahid. Now, wahid is your standard one, 1, 2, 3, a countable number. But ahad, that's something else entirely. It means singular, unique, one of a kind, something in a category all by itself. We're not just talking about one God instead of many. We're talking about a being that is fundamentally incomparable to anything else. And that's just the first line. And it gets even more fascinating. The very next term, a samad, is what's called a hapax ligamenon. Fancy term, right? All it means is that this word appears only once in the entire Quran, just this one time. That means we have to be detectives. We can't look at how it's used elsewhere. We have to figure out its meaning right here, from its context.
So, placed right at the heart of this definition, al-samad points to something that is the ultimate reference, the self-sufficient source. Think of it like a massive, unmovable rock in a rushing river. Everything else is flowing and moving in relation to it, but it needs nothing. It leans on nothing. It's the absolute anchor for all of existence.
Okay, the third statement is a game changer. He did not generate and was not generated. This single line just completely removes the source of reality from any kind of chain of cause and effect that we can understand. It cuts the cord in both directions.
And this is so crucial. This isn't just some theological point about rejecting divine families or gods having kids. No, it's a profound philosophical statement. It says, the ultimate reality is outside our entire system of causes, effects, lineage, inheritance, and dependency. It didn't come from anything, and nothing comes from it, in that biological, generative sense.
And that brings us to the final line, which is just the perfect logical conclusion to the whole thing. It basically says, and there is nothing comparable to him. Well, of course, if the first 3 statements are true, that the source is uniquely singular, totally self-sufficient, and outside any chain of generation, then it's just plain logic that nothing, absolutely nothing, can be its peer or its equal. It's a QED moment.
Okay, so let's step back for a second and see what happens when we put these 4 pieces back together.
You see, it's not just a list of qualities, is it? It's a coherent, step-by-step argument. It builds a portrait. It starts with its absolute uniqueness, moves to its complete self-sufficiency, places it outside of time and causality as we know it, and then lands on the only possible conclusion. It's totally unparalleled.
So you might be asking, okay, that's a cool philosophical definition, but so what? And what's so interesting is that this chapter doesn't command worship. It doesn't say you must do this. It just makes a statement of fact about reality. And that statement is the foundation for this central Quranic idea called Deen.
Now, we usually hear Deen translated as religion, but that word comes with a lot of baggage in English. The Quranic concept of Deen isn't really about rituals or traditions designed to please a deity. It's much closer to a system of accountability, a way of life that's aligned with objective, unchangeable reality.
This chart really lays it out clearly. You've got modern religion on one side, which often has multiple sources of authority, clergy, tradition, etc. The purpose is often to please a deity, and access is usually mediated through holy people. It can become transactional, right? I do this, you give me that. But look at the Quranic concept of Deen. The authority is ahad, the one unique source. The purpose is to align with the objective law, which is as-samad. And the access? It's direct, unmediated. It's a complete reorientation of your life.
Okay, so what does this all mean in practice? How does this change the way you actually live your life? Well, this is where it gets really real. Each one of those 4 statements we decoded directly dismantles a common human pitfall. Ahad, the incomparable one, challenges the idea that any leader, nation, or ideology can be your ultimate reference. As-Samat, the self-sufficient, questions our belief that true stability comes from conditional things like money or status. Lem yalad wa lem yulad, not generating or generated, dismantles the claim that any group has some kind of inherited spiritual access or needs an intermediary. And the final line, no equal, it just blows up that whole transactional mindset of trying to bargain with reality.
And the implication here is, well, it's radical freedom. This framework liberates you from all man-made religious authorities. It makes your relationship with reality direct, personal, and unbrokered. No one stands in between.
So this all leads to the big question, the one that really matters. What actually changes inside a person if they truly live by this orientation? Because look, the goal here isn't just a belief system. It's not about finding some trick for an easier life. It's about finding an orientation that is for once finally honest. It's about that deep, unshakable stillness that comes when you stop fighting reality and instead align yourself with what is, objectively, fundamentally real. It's about finding true north, and in that alignment, finding a kind of strength and peace that nothing else can really offer.